Previously on My Two Bits. This week I'm reviewing part 1 of the Neigh Anything arc. Maybe I should make this a collab. To the Cirque!
Hey, this isn't Silver Quill's channel.
You know, I never caught your name.
The Autistic Pony, but you can call me AJ.
You want to review part 1 of the Neigh Anything arc?
Sure, why not? As long as I can do part 2 as well. So, do I just awkwardly wait here until the next—
Yes, damn it!
Oh, no more yanking my horn. AJ need food. Wait. Did I just faint?
Yes, like a little girl.
Jet, be nice.
Well, I've had my fun. I'm writing myself out of the review now. See you all in therapy.
Well, now that you're awake again, let's get to reviewing Neigh Anything Part 2. Presentable in Periwinkle. Warning, there are spoilers for an IDW comic in this video. It is also part 2 of a love story, so if you don't like mushy romance, this is not the review for you. So the story begins again, this time from Cadence's point of view, essentially without all of Shining Armor's embellishments.
Oh, and for those of you who've been worried that she really doesn't like him when he asked her out, we learned that she did fall in love with him at first sight.
Almost forgot about the cliche counter. Cadence's part officially begins the first night she full sat Twilight. Remember, it's the night of the Flugelhorn recital. Shining Armor very smoothly talks to Cadence. Yeah, that night.
They then get right down to their favorite activity, making charts and taking notes. And, as the numbers show, Cadence and Shining Armor are perfect for each other. They shall get a fairy tale ending and live in a crystal palace. Hey comic, would that count as a cliche? I only ask because most palaces are golden.
Yeah, I'd add it. Also, add another one for not counting it when Shining Armor said something very similar in the last comic. And so, Twilight is sworn to secrecy with every pony's favorite nursery rhyme.
Sunshine, sunshine, ladybugs awake. Clap your hooves and do a little shake.
You know, it actually looks like it's a hitherto unheard of second verse. Then Cadence's part of the story jumps ahead to her side of the pre-Polo concert. So I said in the review of the last part that Cadence loved the love song. Well, when we get her side of the story, apparently she loved that love song so much, it gave her a wing boner.
And this is why I'm grateful I'm a unicorn. Which if I said 2 years ago... Anyways, after Buck insults Shining Armor, we then have the cliche of hearing that her true love has his eyes on another mare, but before she can find Shining Armor, she agrees to go to the dance with Buck, actually due to peer pressure from her friends. Now we are back to where part 1 left off and the story can at least move forward.
It then jumps to the night of the dance, a dance that I failed to actually mention completely in the previous review, but it's the fall formal, much like in the first Equestria Girls movie. Anyways, it is roughly 3 hours before, and Cadence and her friends are getting ready. While getting ready, Cadence admits to her friends that she would rather go to the dance with Shining Armor than Buck.
Say what?
Cadence manages to convince them to help her get Shining Armor by saying if Buck is back on the market, one of them could have him.
Meanwhile, Shining Armor and his nerd troop are getting ready as well as dressing Poindexter as Shining Armor's date, 'cause reasons, to be later explained.
At first, Princess Celestia was against Cadence ditching Buck at the dance. Then she met Buck. After he spent a few minutes douching up the palace, Celestia was on board with Cadence ditching him. Fast forward to the dance, Cadence and Shining Armor both begin their plans to get with each other. Also, Poindexter is shown for the second time in 2 comics to be wearing girl clothing. Apparently, it's payback for not returning something of 8-Bits, one of Shining's other friends.
And of course, this wouldn't be a cliched high school love story without the jerk getting what's coming to him through some slapstick.
And just when it seems that both plans are gonna work out, they announce the fall formal king and queen. Surprise, surprise, it's Buck and Cadence. Those things are always popularity contests.
Aww, but I wanted Shining Armor to win. Oh, right. This is a cliched love story. Carry on.
But this is not the end of the story. Shining Armor finally stands up for himself, which inspires the entire school to stand up against Buck as well. Then Buck just has to say the douchiest thing ever. Who cares about being nice when you're good looking, rich, and good at sports? Which Cadence responds with an oh so very satisfying, I do!
Hey Buck, you need some ice for that burn? Then, after a rather pathetic plea from Buck, Buck gets one more bit of slapstick, and they all lived happily ever after. Even Buck.
Whoa. Don't use the past tense. As Shining says, it sounds ominous. How about we go with, they exist in a blissful state of happiness, or one of the other suggestions in the comic. And with that, we reach the end of our story.
So even though this is an overly done high school romance story, I still like it for two reasons. One, for me, while I can see why people consider Cadence to be their least favorite princess, I kind of like her. I also like the fairy tale romance story, and I like knowing that even when things are going bad in the show, someone can have a happy ending. Meaning it's possible for the others as well. And secondly, it's fun to read and has a ton of great slapstick, and if the romance part wasn't as good, the slapstick alone is good enough reason to make you want to read Shining Armor and Cadence's love story. Oh, and speaking of, I especially did love Shining Armor, who, even though the show kind of portrays him as kind of weak, here, I really felt something for him, especially in the end scene where we see what a great guy he is. And even though I'm not convinced that this story explains well how he became a royal guard, it was definitely nice to see him in a rather positive light for a change, as the good guy who will win at the end of the day, and is worthy of the princess.
I give this comic 7.5 dress-wearing Poindexters out of 10. It had the same great visuals and writing as the previous part, and even had less discrepancies in the flow of time, but it was paced rather awkwardly. When it was jumping back and forth between the present-day tea shop and the past, it was a bit jarring. I wish they kind of stuck with the same way as the first comic was told, where the tea shop only existed in the beginning and the end, not at any point in the middle. It's just a better way of telling the story, in my opinion. This may be a bit too nitpicky, but how did Cadence know what Shining Armor and his friends did 3 hours before the dance? Were they both kind of telling the story at that point? It wasn't very clear. But aside from that, it was still very enjoyable to read.
Well, that's it for our...
Whoa! Hold your horses! Again, I have to give my wrap-up of the entire arc.
Oh, go ahead then. I imagine you're better at this than I am.
As a whole, this arc scored a 77.5%, which is about equivalent to a C+. Though it may have been chock full of a ton of cliches, it kinda came with the territory of a high school romance story. Though the way it was told, and kind of how it just rolled with those cliches, it kind of functioned as a satire on rom-coms. It was good. Definitely worth reading again. And it did its job. It made Shining Armor and Cadence more three-dimensional. Well, Shining more than Cadence, but I'm not complaining. At least they're no longer just written into the series to sell more toys. At least they're not completely buy our toys bait.
Okay, now that's our 2 bits on this comic.
Tell us your 2 bits on this comic or the arc as a whole in the comments below. And while you're down there, why not suggest a possible future spoiler alert? And don't forget to like and subscribe.
And check out my channel, links in the description.
I'm Comic Sans.
And I'm the Autistic Pony.
And I will see you next week for my review of the micro-series starring the CMC.
Well, goodbye comic. Hope to collab with you in the future.
Yeah, me too. See you around.